Hi guys, I'm gonna go over your review. I'm not at school, I'm at home, so I'm recording on my tablet, so it might look a little weird. So just bear with me, make sure you're listening to me. Alright, number one, the height of the paper plane thrown in the air is modeled by the equation h of t equals negative 2t plus 4.9t squared plus 16, where t is the time in seconds, so that's important to know right there. T is into the time in seconds, and h of t is the height. So h of t is the height of the paper plane in meters. What is the height of the paper plane after 15 seconds? So they give me the time, right? They tell me t is equal to 15 seconds, and I want to know what the height is. So I'm solving for h of 15. Okay. So we're plugging in 15 basically wherever t is. So this will be negative 2 times t plus 4.9 times t squared plus 16. Okay, so we're plugging in 15, right? And then this is where you do your calculations. You'll have a calculator tomorrow. You'll have the Desmos. So go ahead and calculate this, and that is your first answer. All right, I'm going to go to the next one. Number two, the area of a rectangular room is 60 feet. The length of the room is 11 feet greater than the width of the room. This situation can be represented by the equation w squared plus 11w minus 60 equals 0. So all this information was useless because they give me the equation anyways. So the only thing that's important, alright, let's do this. All of this is, no, not. All of this is useless. Okay. The only thing that's important is the situation can be represented by the equation w squared plus 11w minus 60. Obviously, w is the width. Sorry about that. Okay. What is the width of the room in feet? So I'm solving for w, and I want to solve for w. And so the reason we want to set it equal to 0 is because whenever I factor it, I can use the zero product property. Right? So you're going to use your box method. You know, w squared here, and this is negative 60. So I have two factors of negative 60 that add up to positive 11. So I don't know if you remember this thing that I showed you. So you want two factors of negative 60 that add up to 11. So one of the possibilities could be negative 1 and positive 60, but 60 minus 1 is 59, so that's not it. 15 and 4, so let's do positive 11, so let's do positive 15, negative 4. 15 times negative 4 is negative 60, right? You're multiplying down. And then 11, 15 minus 4 is 11. So those are the two factors that we want. So let's put them in our box. So 15w and negative 4w. So this is w squared is w times w. What times w gives me 15w? That'd be 15. What times w gives me negative 4w? So this equation factors out to be w plus 15 times w minus 4 equals 0. Now, I hope you didn't forget, because these are not the solutions, right? These are just the factors. To get the solutions, we have to set both factors equal to 0. And then that's where you solve for w. Subtract 15, add 4, so w is equal to negative 15 and positive 4. But width is a real life situation. We want it to be a positive number, right? Okay. So width should be positive. What's going on? Where's the recorder? Okay, I guess I'm recording. Anyways, I don't see the recorder, but whatever. Yeah. Alright, number 3. I don't know how to stop it. Okay. Alright. The total number of trees in a grove is modeled by f of x. Crap. I finally figured it out. Okay, number 3. The total number of trees in a grove is modeled by f of x equals 7x squared minus 10x, where x represents the number of columns of trees in the grove. How many columns are there in a grove if it has a total of 477 trees? Okay, so really quick, the total number of trees in a grove is modeled by f of x. So basically the total number of trees is f of x. Well, they give me the number of trees is 477. So that means 7x squared minus 10x is going to equal 477. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to solve for the columns. So the reason we're going to solve for x is because x represents the number of columns. Okay, so we want to know how many columns there are, so we're solving for x. Okay, now you can do this many ways. The first thing I want to do is I want to set it equal to 0. So 7x squared minus 10x minus 477 equals 0. Okay, now here you can do it many ways. Oh, sorry about that. You could factor, you could use a quadratic formula. Those really the main 2 ways. I'll use the quadratic formula because I know a lot of you like to use that, and so I'm going to go over it. So again, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Right? So here my a would be 7, my b would be, how could it be, negative 10, and my c would be negative 477. Okay, that's probably a bad color to choose. So what's going to happen is this is going to become negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so a is 7, that's down here, and for a, b is negative 10, so this is negative 10 here, negative 10, and then c is negative 477. That's not gonna fit. Okay, so you have to figure all of this out. Now, I'm gonna do some of it. Okay, so negative 10 right here. This is going to be turned into a positive 10, alright? But I'm not going to write the positive, I'm just going to write the 10. Then it's plus or minus the square root, negative 10 squared, so that's negative 10 times negative 10, so that's positive 100. And then 4 times 7 times 477. Let me see what that is. So 4 times 7 times 477 is positive, because it's a negative times a negative, right? This is negative and a negative, so it's going to be positive 13,356 all over 2 times 7, which is 14. Okay. And then 100 plus 13,356 is 13,456. So 10 plus or minus the square root of, not 14,000, sorry, 13,456 over 14. Now the square root of 13,456 is 16. You can do that on the calculator. Or 116, sorry. I don't know why I'm putting the square root. Oh my gosh. Sorry guys. Over 14. And this is where you split it up into your 2 cases. Now, we're dealing with a real world situation, right? So negative columns makes no sense. So we really want just a positive case. So we just want 10 plus 116 over 14. 10 plus 116 is 126 over 14. And you can do that on your calculator really quick. It's 9. So 9 columns. So we'll go R2 and that'd be D. Alright. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so what is the solution to 4x squared minus 9x plus 3? So the good thing here is that it's already set equal to 0, so I don't have to do much. And they're using the quadratic formula, which is, again, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, you do not have to memorize this. This is going to be on your formula chart, okay? So you do have to memorize this, though, and that is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And actually, no, you don't. I lied. That's on your formula chart as well, now that I think about it. So here my a is 4, my b is negative 9, and c is 3. That's your a, b, and c. So it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and so we just start plugging in our values. Let's make this one green or orange. Let's do this orange because it's kind of hard to see on my tablet. Okay, so I'm plugging in negative b, so b is negative 9 plus or minus the square root of negative 9 squared is 4ac all over 2a, so a is next to the 4 and the bottom next to 2, and c is 4ac, so this is over here. Okay, so then, actually I did this one in class, so you should have this one done. I have negative 9, so that turns into positive 9. That means you can already get rid of C and D. So I have to just make sure that whatever's inside the square root adds up to 33 or negative. I don't know what it was. Sorry. Oops. Negative 48. So negative 9 squared is 81. So that's negative 9 times negative 9. Then here I have negative 4 times 4. That's negative 16. So I can do this at the bottom if you want. So we have negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. And then that has to multiply 3. And 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3. Times plus 1 is 4. So that would be negative 48. So that's minus 48 all over 2a, which is 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? So this is just my extra work down here. Now here, you do have to subtract the 81 minus 48. That's why they have that negative 48 there as a distractor. Okay, so you have to subtract 81 minus 48, and that would give you, should give you the 33. 50, 31, 32, yeah, that's 33. So this turns into 9 plus or minus the square root of 33 all over 8, which is B. Okay. What is the positive 0 of the quadratic function graph below? Okay, so again, rocks is something you need to remember. So that's roots. This is zeros, x-intercept, and solutions. So roots, zeros, x-intercepts, and solutions. So if they're asking for the 0, that means they're asking for the x-intercept. And they want the positive 1. So that's going to be right here, which is 5. So here my x-intercept or 0 or root or solution is x equals 5. Okay, next one. What is the negative solution to the equation? Again, I did this one in class, but if you didn't see it, I can do it again. So 1 over 4 x squared minus 16. So I can add 16 to both sides. So 16 equals 1 over 4 x squared. So again, to undo a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So here, my reciprocal would be 4 over 1, or just 4. So that cancels out the fractions here, so I'm left with x squared. And then 16 times 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And then 4 plus 2 is 5, 6, so 64. Then you take the square root of both sides. So this is 8, and this is plus or minus 8x. Oops. So x is equal to plus or minus 8. And hopefully that is a solution. Okay, but they want the negative solution. So instead of the positive 8, we're just going to get rid of that positive, and the answer is negative. Okay, so we would write negative 8. Okay, next one. Okay, what are the solutions to that equation? So this is kind of the same thing as the one before. So 3x plus 5 quantity squared equals 48. So I want to get x by itself, so I have to get rid of some of the stuff. So first thing I'm going to get rid of is that 3, so I'm going to divide by doing the opposite. So x plus 5 in parentheses squared. Now 48 divided by 3, what is that? 16? Okay, then you take the square root of both sides. So plus or minus x plus 5 is equal to the square root of 16 is 4. Okay, and then you split it up into your two cases. Sorry. So x plus 5 equals equals positive 4, and then x plus 5 equals negative 4. Alright, you split it up into your plus case and your minus case. Okay, then you just solve for x, so you subtract 5 from both sides. So 4 minus 5 would be negative 1, and then negative 4 minus 5 would be negative 9. So negative 1, negative 9 would be your answer for that one, which is B. Okay, next one. If g of x equals 4/3 or 4/5, so 4/5 x squared plus 10x, what is the value of g to the negative 5? Let me make sure that's 4/5. Yeah, that's 4/5. Okay, so basically we're just plugging in negative 5. So negative 5 wherever there's an x. Like that. And then you do your math. So negative 5 squared would be positive 25. And then 10 times negative 5 would be negative 50. Now here, a lot of people want to do 4 times 25, which is 100 divided by 5, which is 20. I like to do 25 divided by 5, which is 5 times 4. So either way, 4 times 5 is 20 minus 50. So 20 minus 50 is negative 30. So what are we looking for? I don't remember. G of negative 5. Okay. Oh my gosh. So G of negative 5 is negative 30. Okay. Alright, next one. Which statement about k of x equals negative x squared minus 9x plus 36 is true? So they give you zeros, which is roots, x-intercepts, and solutions as well. And then they also talk about the factors. Okay, so you could either factor it or find the solutions. Well, you kind of have to do both to find the solutions, right? So I'm going to factor it. So negative x squared minus 9x plus 36. I don't like that negative there, so I'm going to factor out a negative. Okay, so I'm going to divide everything by -1, basically. So I'm going to take out a negative, and so the negatives cancel out, so I'm left with x squared. The -9 divided by -1 would be positive 9x squared. Then positive 36 divided by -1 would be negative 36. So basically, when you take out the negative, all you do is just switch the signs of everything. So this becomes positive, positive, and negative. And now this I can factor, right? So you use your box method, x squared and negative 36. I need two factors of negative 36 that add up to positive 9. What is there? I don't even know. 12 and -3? Let's try that. Oh yeah, well duh, right? Because all of the factors here are 12 and 3. I'm sorry, I'm out of it right now. 12 and -3. So 12 minus 3 is positive 9. 12 times -3 is negative 36. So that would be 12x and negative 3x. So x squared is x times x. What times x gives me 12? What times x gives me 12x? That would be positive 12. What times x gives me negative 3x? Negative 3. So this is going to factor out to be -1 x minus 3 times x plus 12. So x minus 3 times x plus 12, so that's correct. X plus 3, x plus 12, that's incorrect. X plus 12, x minus 3 with a negative in the front, that is correct. And then x minus 3, x minus 12, that's incorrect. So it's B or D. And the reason they're different is because of the zeros. So the zeros is when you said both of them equal to 0. So this factored is equal to 0. So x minus 3 equals 0, or x plus 12 equals 0. Okay, so you add 3. Remember, it's just the opposite, basically. So my zeros are positive 3 and negative 12. That negative is nothing in the front to worry about. So, what was it? I already forgot. Wow. Good job. 3 and negative 12. So, D. So, B is incorrect. Okay. Albert solved 2x squared minus 3x equals 16 using the quadratic formula and got no solution. His work is shown below. Okay, so now the first thing when you do the quadratic formula, it has to be set equal to 0. That one's not, so let's go ahead and do that. I did this one in class, I believe, but I'm not sure. So subtract 16 from both sides. 16 is a constant. This is x squared and this is x, so they're not like terms. So I'm just going to write it as 2x squared minus 3x minus 16 equals 0. Okay, and now I have to figure out my a, b, and c. So a is 2, b is negative 3, and c is negative 16. That's exactly what he's got, so step 1 is correct. Then he has to plug it in, and they all have to go in the correct spot. So quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and then, so they plugged in 2, then 2 next to the 4, that is correct, and the 2 next to the bottom with the 2, that is correct. B is negative 3, it goes out at the front, so that's correct. And then negative 3 squared, that is correct. And then the C just goes at the very end, so that is correct. So step 2 is correct. Now I gotta check step 3. So step 3, the negative and negative become a positive, that is true. This turns into a positive, so that is correct. 2 times 2 is 4, that is correct. So what I have to do is I have to check the inside of that square root to make sure it's correct. So I have to actually do the math of negative 3 squared, and then negative 4 times 2 times 16, negative 16. Okay, negative 3 squared is positive 9. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times negative 16. Negative 8 times negative 16. I don't know what is that. Hey, you want to hear a trick? Hey Google, what is negative 8 times negative 16?
The answer is 128.
That's right. So it's 9. And then negative times a negative is a positive. So that's 128. 128 plus 9 is 30. I can't do math right now. Wow. 139, 37. 137. Jesus Christ. So 137, and that is not 137. So step 3 is incorrect. Simplified what was in the radical form. Okay? Almost there. Is it the last one? No. 2 more. Which statement about h of x equals x squared minus 529 is true? So again, I talked to you about this being a difference of squares, where a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. So basically you can take the square root of both of these terms, right? So this is going to turn into x plus and then x minus. Hey Google, what's the square root of 529?
Square root of 529 is 23.
So it's x plus 23 and x minus 23. Okay, so that eliminates A, C, and D, so my answer is B. And if the zeros you solve for it, it's negative 23 and positive 23. It's the opposite of their signs. Alright? You might not have Google tomorrow, but you'll have a calculator. Alright, so I don't hear anything. Alright, last one. What are the solutions to x squared plus 21x equals negative 68? So I'll set it equal to 0. Oh, crap. So x squared plus 21x equals negative 68. You want to move that negative 68 to the other side, so I'm going to add 68. So this is going to become x squared plus 21x plus 68 equals 0. And now I got to factor this. My favorite F word, factor. So I'm going to draw a box. So x squared and 68. So I need 2 factors of 68 that add up to 21. What could that be? 2 and 68 is 34. 2 and 34, no. 4. 17 and 4. Well, I think that's it. 17 and 4. Well, duh, right? Because that's all the combinations on my answer choices. So 17 plus 4 is 21. 4 times 17 is 68, so that's 4x and 17x. So this is x times x. What times x gives me 4x? That's plus 4. What times x gives me 17x? That's plus 17. So this is x plus 4 and x plus 17 equals 0. But then you set them equal to 0 each, and it's going to be the opposite, right? So negative 4 and negative 17. Negative 4 and negative 17, so B would be the answer. Okay, so those are all the problems. Sorry this took so long. I completely forgot. Let me make sure I did all of them. There should be 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. Perfect. Okay. Other than that, good luck tomorrow. Laters.